recording. Welcome in, guys, to week 2 of the NEFL. We are featuring a matchup here tonight of the Las Vegas Raiders against the Los Angeles Chargers. We are seeing new ownership in Los Angeles. This can be the first game we're tuning into them, coming off a big win against the Lions last week, and going up another early season undefeated squad in the Las Vegas Raiders. Is this the year they turn it around? Let's see. Me, owner of the Patriots, JB, joining you guys here today, joined by a fellow owner of the Broncos, Sparrow. Welcome in.
Thank you. Glad to be here. It's a good first opportunity to jump in and commentate one of these games with you. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Well, great to have you. This is going to be a great matchup. And Fontana is asking about pre, mid, or post game. We will do a halftime and post game. Guys, stay tuned for that. That's going to be awesome. We're going to have a live coverage of the two owners joining us at halftime here today, and providing their outlook on the game from the first half, and then we will get with them after the game as well. And we are buffering here, so let's see what's going on there.
I'm glad to hear it's not just me. That's that's the main thing here.
Are you buffering on the YouTube, or?
I sure am, yep.
Okay. And that might be something.
Might be a Reptar problem.
Might be. That's what it seems to be if you're also buffering. All right, refreshed. Seems to be going good now, though they have not started.
Yeah, I think mine's all right now too.
Yeah. In the meantime, what's your outlook on these two teams this season?
Well, this is going to be an interesting game to set up the rest of the cycle, I think. We're talking about Fontana, who is starting with his first 1-0 start of the cycle. And then we're talking about Reptar over here, who's taken over a stacked Chargers team after multiple rough seasons in Philly. And he's also starting off 1-0. So I think this is going to tell how the future of this matchup is going to play out, I think.
100%. A big change in the division there. I'd say the AFC West is wide open, to put it simply. And it's going to create a hopefully great division rivalry moving forward here. Raiders made a big change at quarterback during the offseason as well, moving on from one of the most established quarterbacks in the NEFL, Deshaun Watson, going to the youngster Webster, coming over from Seattle. Obviously, they picked up two other large pieces in that deal. But I think tonight we'll, for the first time, see how that quarterback play kind of plays out. A little bit of an easier matchup last week. Now you're facing an elite pass rush with the Chargers. Going to be interesting to see how Webster fares against this squad.
For sure, and both quarterbacks struggled last week. So now with we got that division rivalry kind of kicking things up a notch, and I'm curious how it changes things for both of them.
100%. Just checking in with the two owners here, trying to see if something's up with the stream, if they actually started, or if they're still just sitting on that page there right now.
Oh, I think we got some movement now.
Potentially. We will see. Not quite sure what's going on. Hopefully we got this game starting. Is Fontana streaming this game at all? Let me take a look. Guys, bear with us. This does happen time to time. But this is actually...
I've got a game loading up here. Oh, wait. No, we're buffering again. We are buffering.
Let me reload mine here. Yep. All right. We are loading up. We are live. Let's go.
Thursday night football.
Went through a little laggy. Don't think it's on our end because we're able to run through this quickly. But guys, welcome in. Thursday Night Football Prime Time NEFL live broadcast is back, and we're off. And as always, guys, Friday night, little Friday night hydrate. Hope you guys are drinking because you know I am. Raiders take the opening kickoff back to the 24, just shy of the 25 as they get geared up for their first drive here. Webster is going to start on the field. It's going to be very interesting to watch him against this explosive defensive line. I think if I had to guess, there's going to be a heavy dose of the run game here in this game, but we'll see their strategy coming into this opening drive. Coming out in the full house set. Yeah, exactly what we talked about. Changing the camera angle are the Chargers. This is one of the more interesting tactics I've seen out of Reptar, but Chubb breaks off a nice run to start the drive, 14-yard gain, and Elijah Moore goes down on the first drive.
Not the way you want to start the game here.
Certainly not. A very explosive receiver, but a small frame, so not quite shocked that he started coming up with an injury.
Right.
Coming back out heavy again, it looks like the script is exactly that. Heavy dose of Chubb on this first drive. Run it, make them stop it. When they start having to bring extra guys into the box, then you start to open up the passing game. Chubb has a massive hole off to the left, and that's just too easy.
Just no one in his path, and of course it's Nick Chubb, so it wouldn't matter even if there were.
Exactly. One of the more elite running backs in the NEFL. It is very interesting, though. This Raiders squad boasts both Nick Chubb and Josh Jacobs. Probably the best running back duo that we never actually see.
Yeah, Josh Jacobs really a victim of a floundering running back trade market.
Webster's looking deep. They do open up the pass, and he underthrows it. That's where you need to be hitting that high point ball or pushing it out in front of the receiver. He tries to go right to him, and the Chargers are able to make a great play with that elite secondary on the field. One thing I'd say I'd like to see move into next cycle is maybe we start to build in, start seeing some fatigue. Chubb is a running back that never quite has to come off the field. It would be a very interesting dynamic if you had to kind of switch around your running backs throughout the game. Chubb breaks one off to the right.
For making depth important.
Getting across a 20-yard gain down to the 17-yard line, and the Raiders have their very first red zone opportunity. After a risky throw, I wouldn't be shocked if they just continue to run it here. That'd be the smart call.
Am I reading that correctly? Is that 3 for 58 for Chubb now?
It is. He's back to his monstrous pace. Chubb, a running back that started out the year as the clear and far away best running back in the NEFL. And they go to Wilder, the young back, and he's stuffed early. Almost, they're showing us right there. Just give it to Chubb. No reason to dictate away from that.
No, and I'm buffering again over here, but interestingly enough,
well.
Wilder, a former player of mine under the Steelers, and a big time fumbler. So it's something to look out for here.
Good to know. We will keep an eye out on that. What's up, chat? Welcome in. Appreciate you guys being in here. Week 2 of the NEFL. Webster's going to drop back. He is looking to throw. Finds his man, St. Brown, quick to the left. Picks up about 4. That's going to set up a 3rd and 8. Has to be pass here, right, Sparrow? Or do you think the run's in play?
I would imagine so. And this has been Fontana's struggle here. So this is where it really comes down to the important plays that he's got to make some changes.
100%. Red zone is so tough this year. He's looking for the running back, and that's just a mistake. Safety underneath. He's going to make that play all day, and Cross might take this to the house across the 40, across the 30, and he has clear skies ahead of him. He's in for 6 after a great drive. The Chargers bend, don't break, come up with a huge pick 6, and they are up, barring a missed extra point here, 7-0.
And that's going to be the story of the Chargers all year, I think, with all these abilities on really both sides of the ball, but defense especially. You just cannot make mistakes like that because they're going to capitalize every time. Yeah,
they certainly have some ball players on that side of the team there, and they capitalize on that opportunity. It's going to be a very tough squad. We're seeing early, though, that you can run against this defensive unit. You just have to be a little bit more careful when passing the ball and picking your opportunities.
Absolutely. A lot of pass rush specialty on that defensive line.
Oh, yeah. Wilder down to the 21. Yeah, they do have Iuchi, who never quite played a snap for me this season. He was traded to you when you were with the Jacksonville Jaguars.
He sure was. He sure was. And frankly, I don't even remember. I did trade him to LA, but I don't even remember what that deal was.
If I'm not mistaken, he went pretty quickly in a deal for Quentin Nelson, and then somehow was then shipped off.
You know what? You may be right.
That man moved around a lot. Raiders start off this drive with another run, and I wouldn't expect anything else. 4 rushes, 65 yards on the day. Apologies for the blurry video. We know it's not on our end, just some buffering coming through on the connection here, guys. But Webster out of the gun here, away from the empty set. They do throw the ball, try to keep the defense honest, and they hit Livingston in stride, and he's down to the opponent's 31-yard line. Huge play call, was not expecting it, but very timely, and the Raiders pick up a huge gain there on second down.
And a great play around that DB in the back. He just didn't even have to use a move, just walked right around him.
And sometimes simple is better. Keep it simple, stupid.
Absolutely.
Raiders line up. It looks like the Chargers bringing pressure. They play action, and the defense is there. Sack for 6. And that looks like Patrick Queen, one of the best middle linebackers in the NEFL, if not the best. We'll see him. We'll be calling out his name a lot today.
Absolutely.
Raiders come back to their heavy set, probably well advised here. Man in motion to the left, steps back, looking to throw. It is a screen, trying to get Chubb out in space, and the Chargers were all over that. Tackle for no gain. That brings up a 3rd and 18. You have to be careful here because you are in field goal territory. You don't want to leave this drive with no points, but at the same time, would love to maybe try to hit a seam route here, something quick to make it a little bit more manageable, or put yourself in a spot to have a manageable 4th down. Webster in the gun. Drops back, looking to throw. Looks for the seam, and they make the play. The safety saw that one and simply could not get up in time, and they find Livingston. He gets down to the 2-yard line, brings up 1st and goal.
Safety lighting up on the attempt at the pick there too, but just coming in way underneath.
Yeah, a little too hot. He saw that one. He was drooling at the mouth, but simply was not able to make a play on the ball. And that's a huge break for the Raiders here, as I expect them to run it 4 times. Webster in the gun, running back behind him. Oh, looks like a little Philly special. It does. It goes to Chubb, but he's going to run it. And very interesting play call there. He is stuffed for a 5-yard loss, brings up a 2nd and goal at the 7-yard line.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of confusion there behind the line. We had some collisions with other offensive players and just slowed him down too much. There's no recovering.
Very interesting. Looked like it may have been a pass. Chubb decided to take himself, and they simply had no running space. They do hand it off to Wilder, though, and he's in. Interesting play call there. Interesting call from the Chargers, who only had 3 men on the line of scrimmage after getting killed by the run all day. Raiders are able to make a nice adjustment at the line of scrimmage. They get in for 6, and they tie it up there on that extra point.
Yeah, I think we've just got a case of not watching the film here. You know, we've got a Chargers team that's facing a 1 passing touchdown Raiders team from week 1, and that 1 touchdown was on a 3-yard pass. So we're just not going to see them passing in the red zone unless they're right there and absolutely have to.
100%, especially after that mistake early on. I think if there was a pass drawn up for the red zone, those are thrown out by now, and we will not see that again. Chargers coming out for their first offensive drive, exactly in the kind of spot you want to be in. Even game right here. First offensive drive, you're able to let Herbert kind of go to work, not having to play from behind. He's going to come out in the gun. Looks like pass early from the Los Angeles Chargers. Herbert drops back.
Back in time.
Finds his back. Oh, and Cheeks undercuts the route. And Raiders come up with a huge interception on the first play of the game. Wow.
What a play.
Simply did not see Cheeks sneaking back there. Chargers receiver absolutely burned his man. But Cheeks, the linebacker, comes up big with a great play right there. And that brings Webster back out with this offensive unit coming back out in the heavy set. They do hand it off again, and why not? Chubb picks up 4 there, staying ahead of the chains. That's what you love to see.
And it looks like that was actually Cheek's 3rd interception of the season already there.
Wow. Is he on pace to potentially break Markel Hyde's interception record?
Normally I would say no, that number's just so high, but it seems like it's getting broken almost every year now.
Exactly. Webster drops back, looking to throw. Looks across the middle, finds St. Brown, and he's down to the 14-yard line. This is
sun god bringing him into the red zone.
Huge play call by the Raiders there. If I were the coach, I'd be scared to death to be throwing the ball, but he has trust in his young quarterback, needs to develop him here this season, and Webster strikes to St. Brown for the big pickup, and they are back in the red zone. Drops back to throw again, and he's sacked. Just too much time there. Patrick Queen able to get around his blocker and get to the quarterback for his 2nd sack of the day.
Queen really finding his way pretty easily through the middle there at will.
Just simply too easy. You have that much time. The quarterback doesn't get the ball out quickly. Queen is going to eat up all those opportunities. Man goes in motion to the right. Webster drops back, tries to force over the middle, and Derwin James comes up with the pick. He's trying for 6, and he's stopped, luckily, at the 15-yard line. It's a touchdown-saving tackle right there. But, Sparrow, I have to ask you, what are the Raiders doing?
Well, what they're doing is the same thing they did last week, and that's throw interceptions. That Webster had only just barely over 100 yards and 1 pick to his 1 touchdown. So they've got to get away from that passing game because it's going to continue to be a struggle.
Herbert on first down has his tight end open, but simply misthrows him there. 0 for 2 to start the day. But 100%, you would think after a game like last week, you get into the red zone in an opportunity after a big pick, at least to come away with points and take the lead. You think the ball would stay on the ground, and we see 2 straight pass plays and ultimately ends up in a pick as Herbert finds his man in the seam, Fisher. That's a pickup of 26 yards, his first completion on the day. The Chargers are now moving the ball.
Yeah, Fisher coming off a big game himself with over 100 all-purpose yards. In fact, even at receiver, he led the team in rushing last week.
Wow. That is it spells for a lot of potential jet sweeps here as they do finally run the ball for the first time this game. And LaDainian Tuck, one of the most controversial young players in the league, picks up a big first down there.
Yeah, Tuck with that rare PED suspension and rollback of his dev, but he got it back real quick.
That man is very gifted. That wasn't going to stop him long term. And he got right back on the field and proved just how good he was. Didn't matter what he was on, what he was taking. That man's going to get his yards.
I'll tell you what he's taking now, and that's some field advantage.
100%. Herbert drops back, passes, hands it off to Tuck again. Well advised. Tuck's going to get down for the first down as we start to buffer here a little bit.
Do love some buffering.
I'm glad it's on your end as well. Looks like we're good. We're back to the coverage here. Again, bring us to the end of the first quarter, and we are experiencing network issues.
I wonder, maybe the same problem leading to our streaming issues here, but hopefully it stays strong because this has been a pretty solid game so far.
Yeah, great matchup here. A season ago, I don't think we're saying the same thing about these two squads, but now a little bit more evenly matched, making for a great week 2 matchup here.
Absolutely.
Chargers hit the zig route quick. That's Fisher coming up with his second catch of the day. Herbert's looking for him early and often, and well advised as well. 2 receptions for 33 yards. The Chargers are now in the red zone at the 25-yard line. Come back out in the shotgun, running back offset to the right, looking to pass again. Herbert makes an adjustment at the line, throws it quick to his tight end, Johnson, and he's close, pending the penalty. Wow. And that's a penalty on the Raiders. That is brutal. They did stop him there. It was going to bring up a 3rd and short. Instead, it brings up a 1st and 10 down at the 11-yard line. Tough penalty there.
I'm not sure I like that call, if I'm being honest. He was right there by the sideline, but I don't know if he was out before that hit came in.
Yeah, definitely questionable. May need to take a look into these refs after the game here. It is a Las Vegas squad. So Herbert's dropping back, looking for Fisher again. That's the only man he's throwing to so far. One completion, obviously, to the tight end, but that brings up a 1st and goal down at the 1-yard line.
Coming into this game, didn't expect a lot of success passing the ball, even for Herbert. He struggled last week as well with 4 interceptions, and the Raiders had 5 themselves they took on defense.
Yeah, definitely a little unforeseen as Herbert finds his man wide open in the end zone. Touchdown, Colin Johnson, as they take a 6-point lead, pending a extra point for 7 here. Great find by Herbert. And going back to your point, yeah, those are crazy numbers. We didn't see that from Herbert all last season, interception numbers like that. And obviously this Raiders squad is very well equipped. One of the better defensive units as far as build goes out there, especially after that Deshaun Watson trade. They are primed for those big turnovers. We'll see if they can force some mistakes here as we move forward in this game. They take out the end zone, get down to the 25-yard line as we're experiencing some more network connection. But we are back to our coverage. So Raiders are going to come out here down 7 in this game with it just a little under 7 minutes left in the second quarter. The key for them is to keep the ball on the ground, hit your quick passes, but don't try to sit back too long as Wilder finds a huge hole up the middle and he's down to the 40-yard line. Doesn't matter if it's Wilder or Chubb today. They are just, that offensive line is moving that defense and is just too easy right now.
Yeah, it looks like Wilder's playing more of a 3rd down back role, coming out on the passing downs and shotgun formations, and it's working so far.
Hand it off to Chubb here as he squeaks through the hole for a pickup of 9, 7 rushes for 72 on the day, over 10 yards a carry, brings up a 2nd and 1.
Yeah, averaging a 1st down, and it just forces you to ask yourself, why does anyone else have the ball?
100%. At this point, it seems Webster's just in there to hand the ball to the running back. Keep it secure on that front. You should be good to go. Hands it off to Chubb again. Offensive line creates a nice hole up the middle. That's going to get them across the 50 down to the 46-yard line. Be honest, if I were the Raiders boasting this offense, I'm running it until it gets stopped. Put me in a 3rd down position where I need to throw the ball. Obviously, if you see more guys being brought into the box, maybe you open up the passing game a little bit. But against this look, I like the run. As they do go play action, they do find Wilder. Don't listen to me as Wilder breaks free down to the 7-yard line. Huge play call there by the Raiders. Defense was expecting the run. Their running back squeaks out the backfield, picks up just about 40 yards on that play.
And looking at the replay here, and looks like the safety sort of pulled off toward the center of the field and just left it wide open downfield for him.
Way too easy there. Raiders love to see it. At this point, though, 3 straight runs, nothing else. As Chubb easily shrugs that man off, picks up 2 after getting hit 4 yards in the backfield.
Gotta love it.
When you have a man like that, the ball doesn't need to go anywhere else. Just ask Marshawn Lynch. He will tell you that. Raiders coming out here, 2nd and goal at the 5-yard line. They do drop back to pass. Very interesting. Looking, and overthrows his man. Very lucky that defender was not able to step behind that pass and pick it off. Very interesting play call there. A little bit of luck
on both sides of the ball. He seemed real open, but that's just not even close to his hands.
Brings up a 3rd and goal here. Almost a passing situation. Be very interesting. The run could still be in play if this is 4-down territory. They fake the run. They try to force a throw, and that is a risky ball. The Raiders are lucky that was not intercepted. Brings up 4th and goal, and they're just going to settle for 3 here.
Yeah, DB just literally the man's shadow with the stream quality we're getting. I didn't even see him there myself.
This is Not the best quality we've ever seen here on our NESN live broadcast. Guys, trust me, week in, week out, it's not necessarily going to be like this. But you know what? We're working with what we got, and nonetheless, we're bringing you some live coverage as I'm talking through that. And we are kicking off, although I cannot see a single thing. You see the Chargers picked it up and can see a blur moving across the 25-yard line.
Getting a little fancy, taking the spin move right off the catch.
This is a little tough. Tough broadcast coming through here from the Chargers. It's Herbert runs play action.
When we bring them in for halftime, we'll have to see about maybe switching streamers here.
We really may need to. We're going to see if reloading does anything for us here. Bear with us, guys. Not quite the quality we want bringing you here on NESN. Improves a little bit. Not great.
Big catch for Bryan Edwards. Gets him to midfield, though.
Bryan Edwards, former South Carolina Gamecock.
Ironically, former Raider.
That is very true. It's actually, no, he was not. Believe it or he is a former Raider, but not in this cycle. Yeah, he started with the Falcons this cycle, believe it or not. Although he has not quite produced for the Falcons, and NEFL kind of bought into that early, but Chargers were able to turn that man's career around. As Tuck breaks it off to the right, breaks a huge tackle down to the 32-yard line.
Yeah, former Chargers GM, random red box. I know him well enough to know that he saw that height, those physical traits, and he was going to move on Edwards and really develop him from there.
Yeah, just go back, watch that man's film from South Carolina. I mean, he was making Odell's catch look like it was nothing week in, week out. As a South Carolina fan, I can tell you there was not much to be proud about, but Bryan Edwards was one of those lone bright spots for us. As Herbert comes here, 1st and 10, tries to throw it quick and simply overthrows him. Something you do not see from Herbert too often. Had his man open the seam, but simply put it just over his head and out of reach.
And both quarterbacks really looking for those seam routes this game here. And, we're looking at about 50-50 success, but the defense just seemingly not there for any of it regardless.
And again, finds the seam. This time he's able to hit his big tight end, and he's in for 6. Defense needs to address those seams. Hey, they have been wide open on this drive, and if they don't make an adjustment, this game could get out of hand very quickly. But that brings the game
to an 11-point deficit with the weak passing attack of Vegas. We're in dangerous territory for sure.
Yeah, if you're Vegas, you have to be thinking we need to keep this game close. Obviously, the Chargers are going to start with the ball in the second half. This is almost a must-score drive right here. Wilder brings it out. Hasn't found enough space all day to surmount a big return, and he only gets down to the 19-yard line.
Piggybacking on what I mentioned earlier with Wilder and the fumble troubles, one game against Detroit, he actually fumbled 3 times on kickoff returns specifically. So seeing him in that position here, it's given me some flashbacks.
Wow. Yeah, definitely could be game-changing, especially as we move into the second half. Very interesting for him to continue to take it out, especially when the block is not there. First play of the drive goes to Chubb, picks up about 2, had a hole there, but it collapsed very quickly. Brings up a 2nd and 8, clock ticking, just about 2:30 left in the half. A man comes motion from the right, hands it off to Wilder, and he's going to pick up a couple there, brings up a 3rd and 4. And this is a must-convert situation. You cannot hand the ball back here to the Chargers with 2 minutes left on the clock. Probably be well advised to bring this down to the 2-minute warning, but it looks like they're going to try to squeak in one more play. They do. Play action, and the pressure is there. Interesting play call on 3rd and 4. The play action put the quarterback in a spot where he did not have enough time to get the ball out. The 2-minute warning stops the clock, and the Chargers are getting the ball back.
And I saw it come up the middle again, but was that Queen for a 3rd time, or we got someone else breaking through?
It was not. I couldn't quite catch the name because of the stream here, but it was a different linebacker this time around.
Well, at least they're sharing the wealth.
Yeah, Queen's been eaten. He doesn't quite need too much more development, if I do say so.
True,
So
true.
try and maybe let some of those younger players get in on the action. All right,
And the
Chargers.
Chargers already matching their sack total from last week, but plenty of time to top it.
Uh, as expected, running back to the four verse, knows the seams are open, a wide open man across the middle, Johnson between the two safeties, and that is just too easy. They came right back out with the same play call. They saw what the defense were doing on the last drive. This time it was cover two. That tight end, it was able to just run right through the middle for an easy touchdown.
And things looking bleak for the Raiders with less than 2 minutes to try to make it a two possession game. Uh, and and then it's the Chargers ball regardless.
And interesting, looks like this might be a miss kick, and it is probably pretty related to the stream issues as it goes out of bounds.
Reptar definitely having some connection troubles, but like we said before, we'll see if we can get that fixed up for everybody here at halftime.
That brings up Raiders 1st and 10 at the 41-yard line. If last drive was a must score, then this one is without a doubt a must score drive as they try to force the ball left, and that's just too easy. Into double coverage, Shevchenko comes up with the interception, and the Chargers get the ball back again. Only 20 seconds came off the clock from the start of their previous drive, and they have another great opportunity to try to get in the end zone before half.
Plenty of time, plenty of time. This is, I keep saying it, but it just keeps getting more bleak for the Raiders with every passing moment.
Really does. Some of these play calls are very interesting as Chuck goes off to the right, just too easy on that first tackle attempt. He breaks it, gets down to the 44-yard line and brings up a 2nd and 1. They are going to run it again. Plenty of time on the clock. Tuck breaking 2 tackles there, gets across the 50-yard line down to the 43. Closing in on
Once
1
that
minute.
X factor lights up for him, it's tough sledding from there.
Especially if he's getting untouched to the second level. Raiders may need to start stacking the box a little bit stronger as Herbert drops back to throw. He is just finding the seam. That's Erickson, and he's in for 6. The offensive or runner-up to offensive rookie of the year last season, Erickson gets in for his first touchdown here in week 2, and that stretches the lead 35-10.
And Erickson also with over 100 yards last week, so just continuing that success week over week.
Yeah, that man is going to be a problem coming in on the close of the cycle here. Certainly a great time to bring him into the squad last season. Plenty of time for development. Come these late seasons, he's going to be a big focal point of this Chargers offense.
Absolutely, and you get a team like that with so many players already developed to a very strong point, and you really can just focus in on these 1 or 2 guys that still need that development because no one else does.
100%. Brings up a Raiders drive here, and they're just trying to salvage something before halftime. Webster drops back, gets hit, but he does complete it to Livingston. Probably had him a little bit earlier, but stayed strong in the pocket there, was able to deliver it to his man Livingston.
Beautiful recovery by both players, just getting it out of that sack and coming back to the ball.
Webster comes back out in the gun. 2 timeouts are remaining. A little bit over 40 seconds left here in the half. Drops back. He's looking left and deep, and that is just another tough throw. Derwin James undercuts it. One of the best, if not the best safety in the NEFL, is a very interesting call to try to challenge him there on that play.
And challenge him when he's already got his X Factor lit up, no less.
Herbert drops back with another potential opportunity to try to pick up more points before half. Incomplete on the first pass there. Brings up 2nd and 10 on their own 15. I think Chargers would be pretty happy with just running out the clock and going to half, but knowing Reptar and this offense, he's going to be trying to pick up more points here.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to resist hitting those same deep streaks that have been working so far.
Back to zone coverage for the Raiders and tries to force it down to Edwards. He's not able to come up with it. Had it early, but the safety was able to come over and get the knockout. 3rd and 10, just under 30 seconds left. Raiders trying just to limit the damage here. Chargers look like they are going to the run, try to run it out before halftime here as Tuck breaks a nice run, picks up a first down. Interesting here. They do not call the timeout. We are going to halftime.
Yes, we are. Oh, wait. They might be looking for one more play before the clock strikes 0 here.
They hurry back out. 2 seconds left on the clock, and it will go to 000. Let's bring in these two owners if we can for a quick halftime check-in. See if we can get them in here. Anything in particular trying to find out from either of these two squads?
Well, with the Raiders team throwing as many interceptions as they have and being this far back, I'm curious how he plans to turn that around with an attack that's really going to have to be a passing attack at this point.
100%. A lot of ground to make up. The pass has not been working well for them. Looks like we might just skip through halftime here, though. A little bit quiet maybe from the Raiders sideline. Chargers, maybe not too much to say. Very happy about where they are right now. They are in NESN Voice. Do you have access to NESN Voice?
I believe so. Let me take a peek.
Jump over there shortly.
Oh, I see.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Oh, I see.
On the room? Oh, they're in here anyway.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Perfect. Welcome in to the halftime report here. We have both the Raiders owner and the Chargers owner. Let's start. Let's go to Reptar, who currently has the lead 35-10 here at halftime. What are your thoughts from the first half?
I think we had a big issue with stopping the run going through the first half, but our secondary reads really stepped up on those passing opportunities to force turnovers and to create game-changing plays. And other than that first little hiccup on offense, it's smooth sailing over here.
100%. I think probably the message to your squad at halftime there was to stay the course. Obviously some mistakes early, but after that, we all saw Herbert kind of settle in, hit his men in stride, and the defense coming up big with a couple turnovers there. And then over to Fontana, owner of the Raiders. I have to ask you, why are we throwing the ball in the red zone?
I felt like I was running the ball a lot. Figured he'd assume that I'd be running, and just tried to take a little shot. Tried the little fake Philly, but couldn't do a whole lot there.
Yeah, certainly interesting play call there. Looks like maybe it wasn't practice this week at practice, but now in a position needing to come back in the second half. Time to sort of see what this young quarterback may have in him. Webster playing from behind. What's the message there at halftime to the Raiders locker
room? Be a little bit more conservative. Maybe try not be as aggressive. Trying to get back into the game. Definitely missing somebody like Watson on the team, but trying to improve. Want to keep on the ground, but can't do that all the time or else they'll expect it. So definitely need to not underthrow some of these passes as well.
100%.
Or blindly throw passes.
Fair. Well, I appreciate the insight there. Reptar, any final remarks here?
No, I just think the team needs to keep going how they're doing currently.
All right.
And do a little bit better against the run going into the second half.
Yeah, Chubb is certainly eating today. Sparrow, did you have any questions for these two?
Oh, yeah. I'm curious what we're looking to do on defense. Actually, Fontana, I'm gonna look to the other side of the ball.
I'm looking for some tighter coverage. Getting toasted by the receivers. Had that interception on the first play of defense, but beyond that, not being able to come up with a lot.
Yeah, those deep balls really finding the open man downfield and with no one behind him. So I'm going to be looking for some changes there in the second half to see if you can kind of put a stopper on that.
Agreed.
Well, appreciate you guys joining us here for this halftime report. Great insight. Love this segment, and let's get back to some gameplay here. Best of luck to both sides.
Thank you. Go after you.
Here we go.
Sparrow, I will be jumping back over to the Sportscast chat.
All right, on my way.
All right, brings us back here out of halftime. Lazara, appreciate the tab. Welcome in. Appreciate you being in here. Appreciate everybody that's joining. If you're just joining now, we're moving into the second half of this week 2 matchup between the Raiders and the Chargers. After a very close game to start, Chargers absolutely broke out, stretched this lead 35-10. They are certainly in command right now. They will start with the ball here in the second half. As we're taking a couple minutes here to come out of halftime. I think the Raiders are probably lagging in the locker room a little bit there. I think the coach has already broken 2 whiteboards, and the refs are trying to push them to get back out into the field, but very understandable. Message needs to be sent to the squad to try to come back here in the second half.
Yeah, and you can really hear the pain in Fontana's voice here, just seeing his players and especially his quarterback throwing these interceptions drive after drive.
Yeah, very tough. I think coming out of week 1-0, you're coming up against a new look Chargers squad. I think, Reptar's still trying to find his ground there with that group. Raiders thought maybe they could steal one here early in the season before Reptar is able to settle in with that squad. And unfortunately, things have just not turned his way today.
And another big run here.
I am behind you in that case. So let me update the stream here.
Yeah, I'll hit refresh too, see if we can sync back up. All right, we've got 38 on the play cock on my end, and no, we're buffering again.
I just started buffering at 38 as well. So we are synced up.
Beautiful.
Brings up a nice and blurry stream here as we buffer and opponent is experiencing network difficulties. Probably need to bring that up at halftime.
Yeah, well, I did just after you jumped out. I mentioned it to them, and I told them to shoot us a message if they do switch it here. But
sounds good. This is are you
I'm not sure
buffering on your end?
In any mood for it? I sure am. Yep.
Okay.
Well, I guess I'll take this time to talk a little bit about. Oh, and looks like the stream has ended now.
He may have stopped the stream, or he got booted.
We'll
see if this is a potential restart situation. Although this
you might be looking at the replay of the stream here, so at least I'm hoping.
Let's try to take a look. It looks like the stream has come to a close. Very interesting. Looks like owners are trying to connect with us. Fontana did bring up his stream, so the game is still live. Right. We're going to switch over broadcast. Should be a little bit smoother. Contracts have changed mid broadcast here, so a little unprecedented. We had to change cameramen. Hey, you know what? When you need to fire somebody like that, we do it on demand here at NESN. We don't have rules. We can move people in and out as we please. We can drink on the broadcast. That's why we have fun.
Absolutely no rules. Absolutely lawless, and that's why we love it. All right, I am on Fontana's stream now. Are we on just come back from pause?
Yes, 32 Beautiful. On the clock.
Perfect. Think you might have me by about a second, but nothing too crazy.
You see, I think our quality has gone down a little bit. Nothing we can't adjust here, maybe. Quality is at 360 XP, so that is not quite what we want to be seeing. Now we're at 1080. This is much, much smoother.
Here we go.
This looks great. As Tuck breaks a big one across the middle, and he's in for 6. Just too easy there.
Speaking of smooth.
Man, I think apologies out there for the broadcast guys. I don't think our YouTube settings were correct. So on top of the tough broadcast there to start, we're at 360p. We are now at 1080. Looking a lot better here as the Chargers look to extend this lead 42-10. And they miss. The announcer curse is back.
Yeah, no kidding.
Live here on NESN.
First missed kick of the season for the Chargers here.
we've seen a lot of missed kicks on these broadcasts. We saw, I believe, 3 in 2 days during the playoffs there. So there is certainly a curse that works. And I'm very proud of that, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Got to impact the game any way you can.
Wilder brings it out, only gets to the 25, narrowly escaping some of these fumble concerns that we had coming into the day. But Raiders happy that they're not seeing the ball on the ground. Looks like they're looking for another heavy set to start out this drive with. We're now getting a little bit more insight to the Raiders offense and the thought process here. Might help give us some insight as to where some of these struggles are coming from. Do come out heavy, running back, and OJ Howard in the backfield. Line up as the fullback. Not quite sure his blocking abilities. They do hand it off to Chubb, and that's just, again, too easy. I know it's very easy to get away from the run, but if you're picking up 10, 15 yards every single time, why even pass the ball? Although I think we will get our answer right here as Webster runs play action, looking deep, tries to force it into Derwin James. Comes up with another pick. Looking for 6.
On the day
he
for
gets
Derwin.
Tackled down to the 42-yard line. They had their man streaking towards the right sideline, coming open, tries to force it deep over top, and they throw another interception. It's a very tough point of the game, playing down 30-plus points. You do have to throw the ball, but that is just a tough result there.
Yeah, surprised to see the Chargers come out in shotgun, but they do run the ball. So at this point, it's just managing the game because this is their game to lose.
100%. I think the Chargers offense is going to start slowing up a bit. Raiders coming back out in that zone coverage. Be interesting to make adjustments to cover the seams, but it is another run. Tuck somehow runs over 2 guys and picks up 4 yards.
Yeah. Breaks 2 defensive tackles only to get tackled by his own man.
Funny how that happens. Abilities do not work against your own players. Herbert coming back out, looking to throw. They throw it quick to the right, and they find their man Johnson for a first down. Only needing 15 passes on the day so far, but he's been able to pick up 4 touchdowns and an impressive 1 touchdown every 2.5 throws, roughly.
And more zone coverage for the Raiders here.
Likely going to be a run here to their man Tuck. As the Chargers are bringing down the clock a little bit. Well advised. Have a lead. You need to be smart with that clock management. Not put your opponent in a spot where they could potentially come back. I'm sure the Raiders are yelling at their TV right now, though. They bring it down all the way to 0-0. Interesting call coming in from the sideline there. Not something I was expecting. How about you, Sparrow?
I was going to comment. I'm not sure. I could be wrong, but I think, are we looking at an illegal formation here?
I do believe we are. With the recent rule updates, I think these stacked and tight end offset formation may not be allowed here any longer in the NEFL.
I thought maybe that was why he was letting the clock drain to not waste timeout, but he came right back out in it.
Well, you do have your allowance of 3 during the game, so not quite a definite rule breaker as Tuck breaks off a big run to the right, gets back that penalty yardage, brings up a first down. Looks like Raiders it almost looked like their DBs were in pass commit. I can't imagine they were actually pass committing on that play, but DBs turned their backs and never looked for the running back.
And I mean, I have to think you just come out with 7, 8 men in the box almost every single play if you're Vegas, because even if they throw it, they're not going deeper than 5 to 10 yards.
Heck, at this point, come out on the goal line, come out on the kick block, whatever it takes.
Hell, don't come out at all. Just head to the locker room.
Just turn it in. You know what? Go back to Vegas. Trust me, you're going to have a lot better time there tonight than the rest of this game. Chargers coming back out, 2nd and 7. Probably going to be another run here. They do. They hand it off to their wide receiver, Fisher, as he picks up a first down and gets wrecked down at the 3-yard line, but picks up the first down, 8 yards on that carry, brings up the 1st and goal.
Absolutely leveled, but that is that jet sweep we were looking for. That same sweep that led to 2 carries for 82 yards last week for Fisher.
Wow, that is very impressive. Probably only one other receiver we're seeing those numbers with, and that'd be the young man John House in New York.
Seeing just about every number from that guy.
if somebody's middle name was Jet Sweep, that would be John House. John Jet Sweep House.
We might need to check a birth certificate there.
We may. Hey, don't worry. He'll hand you a piece of paper and cram with a $20 bill. Wide receiver comes in motion. Herbert's going to keep it. Very interesting play call. He does have some wheels on him. Very sneaky. Picks up 2. 3rd and goal now at the 2-yard line.
I'm surprised not to see a fumble here. No visual ball security from Herbert there with his arm out wide, one hand on the ball and taking that hit. And you see the ball pop out very often with quarterbacks this year.
You certainly do, unless you're facing J.D. Cameron or Christian Metcalf.
Fair enough.
As the Chargers get down to the 1-yard line, he is stopped, brings up a 4th and goal at the 1. Potentially interesting play call, but if we see the offense come back out on the field, we may have a little internal issue at hands here.
Yeah, it's a tough spot. It looks like he's going for the field goal, but to be honest, the field goal makes almost no difference, and I feel like a failed touchdown attempt, and you've got him on the 1-yard line anyway, so I might consider going for it myself.
Chargers pick up the 3 there, though, and extend their lead 44-10. That's something I've learned the hard way. I'm somebody, unfortunately, I kick a lot of field goals, especially when I'm within the 5 and can't close out my drive. And then on the other token, we'll stop players that are going for it on 4th down, 4th and short at the 1-2 yard line, and then results in a safety on our end or punting it with short field position. So,
yeah.
Something you see often here in the NEFL, certainly a great strategy. You see some of the best using that week in, week out. 1st and 10 here for the Raiders. At this point, I think it kind of, you start to hone in on development of young players. I'd be looking for them to hit their young receivers, try to get them some good play experience here towards the end of the game so that you can kind of move into next week with a little bit more confidence from those young players. As Webster stays
empty-handed.
Webster stays in the pocket a little bit too long. Uchi does get home and picks up the sack, brings up a 2nd and 18. Now on their own 14-yard line. Again, this game is essentially out of reach, but Raiders trying to salvage something. They find their tight end quick over the middle. Is that man's name Bush? Let's go. Bush Light.
There we go.
Bush Light.
It doesn't look like.
Love the name. Webster comes back out in the gun, trying to run the hurry up offense here. They get the ball off before the end of the 3rd quarter. Find the running back Wilder off to the left, picks up the 1st down there, keeps the drive alive. Very interesting stat line we just saw there. 192, 5 interceptions on the day. That is
Yikes.
Not what you want to see.
No, that's now one touchdown to 6 interceptions this season, I believe, for Webster here. A far cry from his performance in Seattle.
Very, very tough. Starting the season, putting yourself in a very tough spot to try to develop him further. As he does find his man Walters over to the left, picks up another 1st down, and they're back to the hurry up.
Those horizontal routes to the outside really working right now. I wonder if they just keep coming back to it.
And they do hand it off here to Wilder. Excuse me. Falling asleep over here. But Webster in the shotgun again. Hurry up offense. Looking, finds his running back short. Wilder picks up another 1st down.
Nice cut there to turn that from a short gain to a 1st down.
Raiders offense now over 300 yards on the day. Obviously, it's not resulting in a lot of points, but Webster does drop back again, trying to force it to Bush Light, and he cannot come down with the catch.
Almost there, too. That looked a little bit more like some of those high point throws we look for in those contested catch situations, and it just fortunately sails right through his hands, looked like.
Yeah. Yeah, one of those throws, you know what? You're putting in a spot where your guy can come down with it, but it's not going to be an interception. So probably happy with that throw there. Obviously, you want the reception. As the defense gets home again, the two defensive ends close in at the same time, Ojulari and Yuchi, and they pick up another tandem sack. That's 5 sacks on the day now.
And these are those situations where that pass committed ability is really going to become almost overwhelming because, of course, you're passing.
And they're right there again, getting home. And that brings up a 4th and 21. At this point, realistically, you're going for it again, as the Raiders are now digging deep into their playbook. There's not a lot of plays you're drawing up throughout the practice week for this type of situation. So they are scrambling there on the sideline trying to come up with a 4th and 21 play here.
And I wonder if we might see a little bit of action from the 5th round rookie receiver for Vegas here, Borden. We've got him out wide here. It looks like to the right, and he's going deep. I'm thinking this is the moment to really try to get him some numbers.
His cover 2 had him, but Derwin comes down. Oh. Webster sees his man open, but cannot hit him. Simply overthrows it. That hurts a lot. Had his man open, but now they're going to turn the ball over, and Chargers are going to pick up the ball on essentially a closeout drive here.
Yep, and that's, it just seems like they're out of sync, and I think that's the situation you run into when you're looking at bringing in a new quarterback year over year.
Yep, it certainly was brought in closer to the start of the season here. I didn't have the full offseason to work with this receiving core. I expect him to get things to click together a little bit as we move throughout the season, but today he simply did not have that connection. As Barbecue Briscoe goes down, man from deep in South Carolina, I hear, loves his barbecue. A great name. His parents love barbecue so much, that's what they named him, as he's making his rookie season appearance here in the NEFL.
Yeah, a lot of condiment-based nicknames in the NFL these days.
As Tuck breaks another big run, and he's simply going to go down there, trying to spare the opponent a little bit. It broke that one wide open, had the end zone in front of him. He's just going to go down easily there to extend this drive a little bit, take some more time off the clock.
We're looking at the difference between legend Reptar and eternally starter Reptar here. A user in the league who formerly found himself on the UMSIM report far too often, but he's stayed on the straight and narrow. He's a legend now, and as you can see, he's avoiding running up the score.
Maturity certainly does come with age sometimes. You do see that. And so, as he's kind of progressed throughout this league, has certainly gained a little bit more respect for his opponents and, the rules here in the NEFL. And, that's what we want to see. We don't want to change gameplay drastically, but, this is a league built on mutual respect, and so you want to do right by your opponent week in, week out. As Tuck does break another one, gets down across the 5-yard line. This is at a point, to be honest with you, Sparrow, though, if I'm in the Raiders' position and, they've kind of shown a little bit of a sense of holding back, if Tuck gets in on this next play, I'm not too upset at this point.
Yeah, I mean, especially we got almost 3 minutes on the clock here. It's almost going to be impossible to not score without simply kneeling on 4th down, which I don't want to see that when it's only 44 points on the board. But, it's a blowout. But at the same time, calling it respect works to an extent. And then at some point, it almost becomes disrespectful again.
Yeah, it does. There's a fine line there. I think most people can kind of toe that line pretty well. I can't say there's too many issues across the board with that. And, Reptar making the right call there, doing right by his opponent. Fontana probably happy just to get the ball back and maybe be able to salvage something again with that young receiving core. I know when I was in this position with that Randall Wilkes season, which was not looking too great with us, we were in sometimes this position. But, that last drive was the time we were peppering the ball to Carl Durant at the time and trying to get his stats up for the year. Oh yeah.
And especially this year where receiver development, especially, I don't know what kind of dev Durant was working with, but if he's a normal, you absolutely have to, because it's that end of season dev or it's nothing.
Exactly. We got him up to start Ev a skin of our teeth. I can't think of the saying right now, but he got it the very last week across that 10 touchdown threshold. Had the yards early on. But yeah, if you don't get that start Ev, then you are sitting a whole nother season with a normal dev wide receiver, which is very tough.
It stinks. It definitely stinks.
Webster back under center. It does look like the Raiders are throwing in the white flag a little bit, just kind of running out the clock here. To be honest, I expected them to maybe try to throw the ball. It would obviously help their development a little bit more long term, but sometimes it's tough to have it in you when you've had a game like this to come out and actually try to put an offensive drive together is very tough. Sometimes you just want
and they're done that.
Yep. Sometimes you just want to call it a day, move on to next week as he does throw another pick. Neiman comes up with that interception, his first interception on the day, and this game is just about a wrap.
Yeah, I think we're going to be looking at victory formation here, and assumedly no timeouts getting called, and everybody heading home.
We will probably, guys, stay tuned after the game here. We will likely get winning coach Reptar in for a post-game interview, see his thoughts on the game and his outlook for the rest of the season.
Yeah, we'll give Fontana a break here. I'm sure he's in no mood to discuss this one, but he is looking at a home opener against another division rival, the Chiefs, next week. What are you expecting out of that one?
Is that Fontana? I apologize. I was reaching out to our Chargers owner
Fontana.
there.
No problem.
Against the Chiefs, I think that starts to become a must-win in a division that's going to be very close this year. You need to at least be 500 in that division. You don't want to start 0-2 against division opponents. Against the Chiefs, you need to come away with a win there. Put yourself in a spot where that second game, if you come away with a win, is certainly a plus, but not a must-win. Put yourself in a strong position early in the year. It certainly would be a confidence booster for them.
Yeah, and another duel of heavy hitting running backs in that one too. So we'll see if Fontana can stick with that ground game and maybe hold on to a lead throughout the game if he can.
And I think there's a lot of film to be watched from this week. Certainly, it kind of reevaluating some of the play calling in the red zone there. The Raiders boast a great offense. The offensive line, at least in the running game, was looking great. They actually provided great protection early. It's very tough late in the game when you're down and defense kind of dig their heels in to actually be able to have time to throw the ball. But early on in the game, that O-line looked great. And if you kind of just stick to the run and, be smart about some of the pass play calls that you're choosing, I think the Raiders can go toe-to-toe with most teams in this league.
Yeah, I mean they've shown that they've got it in them coming out with that win in week one, and they have had more success in recent seasons than in past seasons of the cycle where they were coming away with only 1 or 2 wins on the year. But you have to think that if one year is going to be the one they turn it around, it's going to be this one where the heaviest hitting user of the division is gone, and now we have Reptar. Looks like has joined us as well.
Welcome in, Reptar.
Yeah. Hello.
First off, let's hear from you. What are your thoughts on the game? How do you feel about the game plan you guys put together?
It was a nice win. We pitched a nice shutout in the second half. Didn't give them much wiggle room there. Getting good pressure, getting good play on the secondary. The second half was much better against the run. And once we stopped the run, we forced them to pass. And the secondary was already playing lights out. So it just took its way from there. I felt like we played a great game all around. Offense, defense, running the ball well, passing the ball well.
Yeah, certainly a flawless game plan. We saw a quick hiccup there in the first half, but after that, you guys were able to settle in, come away with a big win. What's the outlook on the rest of the season? Where do you feel like this team is headed?
We've got big hopes. We've got the same hopes as the old user. Quite honestly, Super Bowl. We're not stopping because we think of limitations. Some people in the league might think there's limitations here in LA, but we beat Jeff and we disproved that. Okay, we can win any game out there. We can beat any user, and we're coming for the bowl this year. All right, this is our year.
I was just gonna ask, would you go as far to say this is your year?
Indeed, I would.
You know what, guys? Write that down. Count it in. You heard it here first. This is Reptar's year.
The fifth time.
The Chargers are going to the bowl. They're coming away with the chip.
Yep, that's what we got to hope for every year.
Sparrow, did you have any questions for our coach Reptar here?
Absolutely. So next week, the hits don't stop. You've got another big time user. You're heading into Buffalo
Bills,
next week to
yeah.
play against Just Sick. What are you looking for on that game, and how do you plan to overcome his oftentimes suffocating offense that just never stops?
What we're really looking to do is be able to control the time. We have a big bruising back, and we've got a good offensive line. What the goal is we're going to be trying, whenever we get capitalize on any turnovers or just capitalize on any mistakes with time, we are going to try to run the ball and make it our game, control the clock, and that's how we can win.
I'd love to see it.
Well, Reptar, appreciate you joining us both at halftime and here at the end of the game. Congratulations on the win this week. Move into week 3 undefeated. Excited to see what's in store for you and your squad this year.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, and that's going to do it for the NESN broadcast. For myself, JB, my partner Sparrow joining me today. Until next time, JB out.
See you next time.